Oh yeah, but like I was saying, a bottle of V. I don't know if you ever had cognac before, but
Cognac?
yeah, it's like the smoothest cognac ever. Villon by Rick Ross.
Villon?
Shit is fucking delicious.
I never knew, honestly.
Bro, you gotta try it, bro. You gotta try some. Got some ice right there. I'm not sure when he made this one, but
yeah,
she put me on to it. Taste it. Oh, you want some more?
Yeah. I be sipping Henny and shit, so.
I
like Remy too.
Almost the same thing. Remy Martin?
Yeah.
I think my favorite one is the 1738. I think that's my favorite one.
Oh, damn, this is gas. So.
Hold on. Go ahead, salute to that one.
Yeah, this is like.
Yeah.
It's almost like syrup.
But it's a cognac.
Yeah.
That shit tastes delicious, yo.
It's fire.
Yo, try with some ice. Definitely.
I mean, it's good even without the ice.
Even without the ice, yeah.
That's good.
Be on. You guys want some? Yeah, good. Be on.
Yeah.
It's cognac.
Some cognac.
Mm-hmm. How's that drive, bro?
Dude, brutal. Brutal. That's the longest drive you've ever had to do to get here.
No, what's that? 8 hours? Where you guys come from?
Tallahassee.
Yeah, 8 hours.
So it's like a 6-hour drive. I don't know what happened. Oh, actually, I do know what happened. So a semi like flipped over.
Ooh.
But the worst part is it had a bunch of like flammable like stuff on it.
Shoot.
But it didn't blow up.
Okay,
they were just good. Like that's why they were holding it up like that because they like just in case. So because I was like, bro, this shit better be like a big deal for it to take this long.
I think that's how it is. Every time you like at the turnpike or you're taking the aisle all the way down, there's always something that's gonna hinder you.
Yeah. No, I tried going through the 95 ones, but that also took forever. So
jump right back onto something else.
Yeah.
How you feeling, man?
We're out here. We actually we have a fashion shoot tomorrow.
Fashion shoot? You here all week?
No, just for the weekend.
No, just for the weekend.
I really only come like every other weekend. I try to find housing here, but
bro, the pricing down here is crazy. That shit there is crazy as hell.
Not even a question. Fuck that. There's no chance. Like for what you paid here, you can get 2 spots in Tallahassee.
Oh, Tallahassee. I was thinking outside of Florida, like Texas.
No, you go to Tallahassee, like I have two bedrooms with 2 baths and a garage.
Paying half the cost.
And I'm paying what you would pay here to have
a studio.
Yeah.
Wild. But that's the life, bro.
But it's just like
that's the life. Oh yeah, go, bro.
South Florida. This is where everybody wants to be. So
it's a hot spot. It's a real hot spot. No complaints to it at all. Yeah, sure. You feeling good? Feeling great?
Yes, sir. Yeah, what about you?
I'm feeling good, bro. Feeling good.
I heard about you through Aaliyah.
Bro, that's my dog, bro. Didn't know she had a sister at all. But they look just like really good people. Really good people. Really good energy. Love the two, bro. Bro, how y'all two meet?
Me and Aaliyah?
Your publicist, Amy.
I met Amy. So we're actually, she's from Broward too. I'm from Broward. I grew up here. Yeah. But in Tallahassee, I actually met her. She was like 15. And at the time, I was just...
Yeah.
Honestly, I came back to Tallahassee, but I wasn't like staying there like that. I was going to school, but I kept like falling back because I needed money, and I was like doing the music thing, and I just really wasn't invested in like the college stuff like that. I did for like the first year, and then I'm like,
what is this?
Tallahassee is different too. It's like very black and white.
Yeah.
So it's like growing up in South Florida, you don't really see like
mixtures of.
Well, like you don't see that division like that. Like me growing up, like minorities were more of like more prevalent. They were more of like the ones that were popping because they were the athletes. They were like whatever. Then you go there, and then it's like I had a culture shock because I was like used. I'm Hispanic. I'm from Broward, so I'm just used to this. Then I go there, and it's like are you in a frat or are you like just or like a fucking GDI,
like,
which is like a goddamn
individual?
Yeah, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what is that? Yeah, I didn't even know what that was. So bro. I kind of fell into the trap of like trying to like conform just because college life and getting hoes and all that. I'm like, it really ain't me. Like, I'm just not. I'm not from Broward. Like, yeah, I'm not like I'm not bratty and shit. I'm not able to just like have somebody tell me what to do. Like I've always been very like independent. So that part. I didn't really, and I'm also not the type of person to like judge people like that and start acting like I'm better than people and stuff. So I didn't fuck with it. So I started rapping. That's when I started rapping.
Okay. Well, shoot, that's cool. We're gonna jump right into it though.
Is it already done?
No, we've been recording since then, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Vic Ashton here for the story, not the fame, Dark Spark Media. We have Quince Lu from Colombia here today, about to tell us a little bit about his life. There's a lot going on with you, bro. Been doing a little studying on you, bro. Mainstream, didn't really have too much going on. Had to catch up with everybody else because you were listening mainly to radio. We weren't really popping on iPods or anything like that while everybody was listening to those underground rappers. It was mainly mainstream. But I did hear some of your songs. It seems there's no lovey-dovey into it, but it seems like a lot of heartbreak.
Like one of them. Well, like I have like a whole album.
It's like a whole album. Yeah,
I have like a whole project dedicated to it, but like when I make music, I really try to make it about something.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't really start making music for like wanting to be like famous or anything like that. I made music because when I was growing up, like hip hop spoke to me in a way. It was like I could relate to what they were saying, even though I was Spanish.
Yeah.
So I make the analogy all the time where I'm like, oh, like I really cling to Pitbull because people like Pitbull, but I'm like, if you're from South Florida, Pitbull had his little era of like the Uncle Luke Pitbull, like the, like the actually out here doing the rap shit, like Pitbull, and
it's
like
everywhere,
right? And it was like to me, like growing up, that was like a way of seeing somebody Hispanic showing that they could be in the realm of like hip hop and like knowing. Like coming from another country and not speaking English, I was always like insecure and just like thinking about my accent or like how I spoke. It was just hard to understand the world really because it's like you go from one world and then you're like thrown into like another environment and people understand and say things differently and you're like trying to make sense of it.
What you moved around 3, 5?
I was like 5, but.
They're still moving from one like a whole entire world to a completely different world.
Right, and then it's like
in Broward County, nonetheless.
Where it's like, I mean, I'm blessed though. I say like that's why I rep Broward so much. Yeah. It's like I don't think people really understand. And as I've gotten older and been in different places, I've learned how much of a gift it is being from Broward because it's like. It's so culturally diverse, but it's not mainstream. So it's like Miami, New York, Austin, LA, like all those places, they're mainstream. Yeah. They're like people know, like. But Broward is like it was like the underdog of Miami. It's like the little brother. But if you grow up here, it's like so many different people.
So much going on.
Yeah, and so much shit going on, and like, so I was like. I realized that it's helped me out because I know so many different people and I can mingle with a lot of people. And I think that's something that even our artists have shown that they do. Like X and Kodak. That they transcend a lot of barriers because like
they weren't just for one crowd.
Yeah. So actually met X.
Peep that too, you mentioned that, bro. How was that experience meeting him? And then his passing.
His passing actually hit home a lot because, one, being from Broward, like, we didn't really have, like, people saying, like, oh, I'm from Broward County.
Yeah. At the time.
Most of the rappers, like, at the time, most of the rappers were, like, stayed fairly underground. Like from my city, it was like Rob Banks. I was from Coral Springs, so that's the only really artist that I knew like that out of Coral Springs. But nobody that had like went major like that. I mean, I know Johnny Depp is from like fucking
He is
Hollywood, like Ariana Grande was going to like, but that seemed very disconnected just because it wasn't like just somebody that was like just a regular schmegular, no disrespect to like Ariana. Like Broward Prep is like a whole different, it's like a whole different like vibe.
It's Broward, but it's not Broward.
Yeah, that's like almost going Palm Beach, like going more like that Boca vibe. So it was just like, and he was a peer. Yep. So when I was doing a lot of the underground music and like trying to push my stuff, like me and my homies, like OxiGang, we were like doing shows and we would see these people all the time, like at the shows, like they were literally like, man, sometimes they were like before us, like at certain events, Like we've been doing this
for
shit
a while.
Yeah, like so I've seen like Ski Mask, like all these artists just growing, like get big and shit, like Pump, all them. We did a show, I remember when it was Famous Dex and it was like Lil Pump was just coming out. And like I seen his transition. But it's crazy because all these people all knew each other from a long time ago. So they all blew up in different phases, but they've been all part of the same core. We were just not involved with their core. We weren't like beefing or nothing, but it was just like, like I said, peers. So seeing X do what he did and being like, oh shit, whatever he had in his mind that he kept thinking, like,
right.
He knew he was going to get to where he was going to get. Yeah. Seeing it happen and being like, oh, that's in my backyard. It's going on. Like, that's facts. I've been seeing this guy like at the thing and you're like, damn. Yeah, like. Watching it happen. And then he's doing Drake numbers. I was like, that shit blew my mind. I was like, but it gave me a reason to believe too. So even though he was younger than me, I learned a lot from just watching him. And ironically, like life put me in a situation where I met him. I met him multiple times, but it was more on some like, he's over there, we're over here, like we're not really,
but still being around that presence.
Yeah, like whatever. But then I met him as in like I went to this crib across from FIU, and this is when he caught the charge for the girl, like. The whole thing that made him famous, the Free X movement. So he had just went to jail and then he got out. And then, he's going to go right back in. But, you get that little period to be out on bond and shit. So he was out on bond and he had gone in because of the girl or whatever. And I go into this, this girl that I knew, like, I was friends with, and they had told me, they were like, there was a time period where everybody said they knew X. They were like, oh, I know X, like, yeah, he'd be at these parties. Yeah, like, we all know X, like, because he was everywhere. But I was just like, yeah, everybody says, like, they know X, like, he's everywhere, like, he did a lot of groundwork showing up to places, like, that's what made me understand the game of, like, just being facey, but he wasn't like social though.
But he was grounded still.
Right. Like, but he was there. Like he would show up to everything enough for people to be like, "Who is that kid?" Because he looked different and he was doing whatever. He was on his shit, but he was everywhere. So I walk into the house thinking that it was just like I was gonna go hang with these girls, and then when I walk inside, he's on the couch
just chilling
with the ankle monitor with his chick that he just went to jail for. That everybody on Twitter is like, oh, like they're beefing, they don't fuck with each other and all this shit. And I'm seeing them like laid up watching American Horror Story. And I'm just like, all right, well, this doesn't make sense. Yeah. But I was just like, I'm not really gonna be like. I also like knew artists and shit, so I had already understood that it's like it's never really like what it seems all the time. Like it's hard to be an artist and like
keeping that public face is
exactly, like, and especially when you're like, I respect it because he was that young doing that shit. He was like 17 years old. Like everybody's making a big deal, but I'm like, dude, this kid is like 17 years old. Like he's getting charges and shit. Like people don't understand. He's like, he's legit. He's figuring it out. Like with a girl and he doesn't live at home. Like, you gotta kind of like I don't condone, domestic violence or any of that.
But besides the fact he's a kid,
it's a child. Like, he's not a grown man. He's not anything. So he's learning. And he just was like quiet. He was kind of shy. He kind of was like, and I just remember like I was like, "Yo, you want to smoke?" Because I was there with them, and I was like, you don't have to act like
it's just
shy or whatever. And I was like, here. And we smoked, and we talked for a little. It wasn't like anything about music.
It's a cool energy.
Yeah, it was just like welcoming, like whatever. And I was able to see, like, okay, you're not angry all the time. Because every time I see him at the events, he's always like, he looked like he was mad at something. So that's why I never really got near him. Like, oh, what are you tripping about? Like, but he was chilling. He was just shy, and he was just kind of like modest. And then
that passing hits you close to home after he was gone.
Yeah, so then when he left, I mean, that's the last time I saw him. So I never knew after that, one, that he would blow up the way he did, because then he goes to jail, and then the Free X campaign starts, and then he just, trajectory goes crazy. But then he dies, and then I felt like,
the momentum could have kept going.
I'm a fan of music, bro, and I actually liked what he was doing, like his music and like how creative he was. Like, to me, he was like another like Kanye, Travis Scott type of person. Like, and honestly, like he was gonna revolutionize music.
He had a great,
not just like hip hop, but music. And to see him go away and being from our area was like, damn, like way too soon, but
that was just a person that was close to the area. What about someone that's like closer to home? I don't mean to get like deep into it already, but we're already here. Tell me a little bit more about Dizzy.
Oh, Dizzy. Yeah. So Dizzy, R.I.P. Dizzy. OxiGang. So, Dizzy was kind of like our ex.
Yeah.
If I had to explain it, he was like our XXXTENTACION, and he was like.
Heard him speak a lot, like not speak, but like from what I've seen, like on your page and different pages I can find him, it was like when he speaks, like you listen, like he has that energy.
Yeah, and he was just a rager. He had like this, like when he went live.
Yeah.
Like, because if you listen to his music, it's one thing, but if you saw him live and you met the kid, like he was just. Like, when I first went to Tally, he's one of the first people I met, and they used to call him Lil Wiz, because he was just like Wiz Khalifa. Like, he had that aurora about him, like, always smoking a blunt. Even though he didn't have, like, money, he'd just always have smoke, and he'd always be smoking, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and, like, just doing 100 things, like, a lot of shit all the time, and I was like, damn. But he was never shy. He was gonna walk up to you and talk to you. He was gonna... And I grasp a lot of the way I am from him. Like, he inspired me in a way, because I was like, damn, this kid is like, that's the first time I really like understood presence too. Like, he had a presence where it was like, you just felt like he was going to be somebody. But he also had like a lot of dark energy, dark, when you play with a lot of that dark stuff, it's like, I'm Bendito, so the white man name, like, holy, not saying that I'm a saint, I'm not an angel, but I stray more on the side of like doing shit the right way and not really crossing people. I gotta do what I gotta do, so I'm not a pushover. Like, I've always, I'm out here, so, but. I feel like if you have a good heart and you have good intent, like, shit works out for the best in the long run. So,
but losing a friend that's really close to you, it takes a toll on you.
Oh, yeah, it changed, like, I mean, even to this day, like, the group, I would say, because we had a group, all these experiences that we had, it was like with a group, OxiGang, and I still rep it, you feel me, it's on my ribs. Like, those are my brothers for life. But definitely his death, like, just changed a lot. And then it's ironic because coronavirus happened, like, within that same span. So the dark energy around the world just felt like heavy. And it was like, nothing was ever the same.
Did that inspire some things into like the OxiGang, or even like one of your records, Quarantine? Did that inspire it?
15G.
15G's inspired.
So then my biggest, I have over 400,000 streams on 15G's. I have 3 records that have over 100,000 streams. But I'm independent, so I'm not.
And that's the great part about it,
Yeah, I don't have no like big
restrictions.
And I don't have like big marketing, so it's like a thing that people wouldn't even know. Like, and
it's
I
like
don't
people
care.
who fucks with you really fucks with you.
But if you look at it, like I did that independently, like, and it came all from that era. Like I made a little EP because like of what I was going through, like in that whole space. But what I did is I made it about something not related to really what was going on. I use all the terms of what was going on with the quarantine and all that, but it's really about my life and what was going on in that period. So if you listen, you gotta listen and then you'll really understand some shit that I can't really speak on.
Salute to that. But been doing this for a while, man.
A while, yeah. 2019.
But you're gonna drop a 3rd album. You're gonna complete that trio.
Well, okay, so that I'm working on that, and I actually have the person that introduced me to you. She's in one of those songs.
Oh, word!
But it's like a little like small like thing.
But still, she in there.
But she in there, yeah. So that shit'll come soon. I'm working on it. It's just like a different body of work. So everything that I make it based off of like real experiences. I want my music to be something that like it doesn't have a timetable. It isn't about like, is it trendy? Is it this? It's about like real shit. Like if one day, you said heartbreak and all this stuff. I mean, because I did.
We're gonna go back to that too.
Everybody's been through heartbreak, so I decided to make something about like that experience for me. And I've had friends and stuff. A lot of my promotions and stuff, the way I work my music is through Real Network. So just knowing friends, I give people my music, like, and they respect me because they know that I take music seriously and that I'm not like, I do the artist thing. Like, I don't do it just to be like, I'm an artist. Like, I want to say I've like sacrificed it all, but because I
gave a lot.
I've given it all for music and and all that matters to me is that somebody turns around and says, like, he probably went through a breakup and he was listening to my album, Alien to Love, and it's about love and hate and, having that emotion. He's like, damn, like that shit really resonates with me right now, bro. And I was like, all right, well, that's the point of it. That's why I make it. Like, I dropped that a year ago, but now you're going through something that made you feel like you resonate with what I was talking about. And I explain it in ways and I make topics about it. The first album is called Alien, and it's about being from South Florida. I was an immigrant, but I was also somebody that didn't really know my identity because I grew up around so many different cultures that it was like,
bro,
it's hard to figure out if I'm like, because people will be like, oh, you act black, or like, they'll be like, oh, you don't, are you white? Or like, oh, are you Hispanic? But I'm like, but I speak Spanish. So then like, I'm also like really, really Hispanic. And then it's like, or are you mixed? Because I look, here, you can pass. So it was just confusing. Then when I went to Tallahassee, like I said, the identity crisis, like there is very divided. So I had to really decide. And I was like, what? Like, why can't I just be Hispanic? Now I have to be either white or black. Like, and I can't be black. So, because, I'm not black. So, I was just like, and I didn't care about it like that. I didn't look at it like that. I never looked at it like that. I never looked at it like, yo, are you black or whatever. I just looked at it as like, I just like hip hop. Like, I don't speak English. So to me, it's like, and I wasn't a great singer. My brother was a good singer. So the way I looked at it is like rap played with like diction and stuff. And what I learned is that like a lot of slangs, like, I could relate to, like, for instance, that southern drawl, like that slang, it was easier on my accent than trying to speak proper English. So I kind of saw it more as like I don't like people saw it as like, oh, minorities, they don't speak English the right way or whatever. I saw it more as like maybe they just don't come from here, they're grown up a certain way, and that's why their draws are different. It has nothing really to do with like
we're not European,
whether you're white or black. I think it just has to do because I haven't heard like
a certain word, different types of ways.
It was just different. So I like identity as a whole. I was like, I don't even know where I fit in. Like, I don't know how this shit works. Like, America is interesting. Like
that part.
So that's where Alien came from, and that's about that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel alienated or feel, so it's all about shit. 15 G's is about, overcoming something, and I was in the hole, and I got out the hole, and then it became, and that dark period became the biggest thing that I ever did. And mind you, when I'm making the music, I don't know this, but the way I made the sequence from quarantine all the way to like stimulus check, because at the end we made the money, we won, we hit the bank. You feel me? But I didn't know that was gonna be the result of the.
In that moment, you're like not even thinking about it. I
never hit 100,000 plays ever. So I make this thing, and then it. But it goes back to seeing somebody like X. He always spoke about manifestation and then like saying certain things. So
you should say that to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you believe in yourself.
You gotta believe. You gotta say like, yo, I'm gonna be there. Like so many things have happened that I believe they would happen, but I just didn't think it was gonna be like. It's like they happen now, and I'm numb to it because I'm in the moment. So I don't be like, oh my God, I can't believe I made blah, 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 blah. Nah, like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, and the shit went where it was supposed to go, and then I don't think about like, oh, I did that, and I need to go tell people about it. I look at it as like, okay, well now, that gives me an opportunity to do something bigger. Like, they'll catch up.
But you're numb to it? But you're numb to it?
Like, numb to it as in, like, I'm not, like, thinking about it, like I'm searching for clout or, like, acceptance.
Like that instant gratification.
Yeah, like, I'm not looking for that. I don't care. Like, life is not about, if you look for that instant gratification, you're going to get disappointed most of the time. Because it's not as sweet as you think it was going to be. So if you're just more focused on, like, okay, I got this done. Now what's the next thing? That's what I started thinking, like, okay, well, what do I got to do next? Like, I don't focus too much on like, okay, I'm here.
Who's gonna like this? What's gonna go there? Is it gonna play here?
Yeah, let's keep going. Like, I ain't even close to the goal that I want to get to. I'm gonna keep going. Like, I seen this dude in my backyard make it all the way here. So now my expectation is I can make it that way.
You can make it that way, yeah.
That's why I say like it really means something. I may have not known him like that, but it was just like that's really like somebody that you saw do it. And it gives you like a different perspective on everything.
Salute to that.
The cognac is good though.
Shit slaps. Man, no problem. Go ahead, share.
I never drink cognac, so.
And never?
I'm a bourbon guy.
You're a bourbon. I love bourbon too. I love bourbon too. I love my whiskey also. But no, if you ever do that, you gotta tag my friend that put me onto this. Her name is Miss Wilhelmina Jones. You gotta say it like that when you do it too. Miss Wilhelmina Jones. Just drag on that Jones. She real cool people, bro. She brand ambassador to a lot of things. A lot of people might know her with her affiliation with Rick Ross and everything like that. But she's a real down to earth person, and like she is really here for the community and stuff. And she put me onto this drink. If you go on my page, you can see her, Miss Wilhelmina Jones. Empress Raw is her name. Put me onto this drink, and I never looked back.
No, this
shit is delicious, yo. For a cognac,
you can drink it as it is
all day. Not closer to your goals. What's the next big thing you want to do, or what's the biggest thing you want to do? You got to set it on you.
The biggest thing that I want to do, I would say, is I just want to influence the culture. Like that was my goal. My goal is to be like a staple in the culture and really influence it. You know, I actually like really look up to like a lot of. It's just weird being independent. You know, you see a lot of the industry shit, and then a lot of like figures that you used to look up to and things like that. Like
it's not really what it seems.
Yeah, and then you know, I started to lose a lot of like the original like you know I don't want to say fanboying, but being like oh, shit, like that was you know I just started to understand things in a different way. Like a lot of these artists maybe are not as talented as you thought they were. A lot of it is more politics. A lot of it is privilege. A lot of it is that's life. I mean, you know, everything is like that. So it's like hard to like, you know, I hate to go back to the same person, but it's like my example is like literally seeing this kid do it independently and do it like
no other,
you know, and he had help too. It's not like he did it alone, but for the most part, he did a lot of it alone. So it was like really seeing that after that, like I see every other artist, and it's like
they fall right to the
you know,
right
like
to
you
the trap.
didn't even do close to what this kid did. Like I've seen legit like really take off and do it in the most unconventional way. Like start riots, like have people really rioting and doing shit like that. Like I was like, man, like this is like some movie shit. Like, and then you see other artists and they don't have that type of like because artists don't really connect to their fan base the way he was connecting to his fan base. Like they really loved him. Like it was a cult.
It is a cult.
And you know, you're from Broward, right? So I don't think Broward's ever seen anything since.
Well, you have Kodak.
But that's not the same. Like Kodak is Kodak, but Kodak is more of like
a culture.
It's the culture, exactly. He stands for the like he's like being from Broward, so everybody gets behind him because he's the epitome of being from Broward. Like the style, the way you say things, the attitude, the everything, like that's so Broward. But like the depth of being from Broward, like the real like sadness and shit, like the real whatever, like that was X. X was the raw emotion of being from Broward.
Maybe some artists here and there, but they're probably like more community based.
Right. And there's just like nobody that's been able to do like everything that he did. Like you know, it's just like I don't think you know I don't want to pick Brian, but it's just like
he was a cool person.
It's hard to find like other artists that are even doing something remotely close to what he did, like and touching like platforms like that. I mean, he was doing Drake numbers. We're not talking about like no middle artists. We're talking about the biggest artist.
Like he's doing numbers, yo.
And he's doing that being XXXTENTACION with a crazy name like that. Like the marketability was terrible. Like no, it was great, but in like on paper it seemed terrible. Like to industry people, it was like nah, that'll never work.
But
look at me.
But
never be on the radio.
That shit works.
And it was on the radio. So I'm like, he broke every like barrier that ever made me think like, no, that shit don't work that way.
It makes you think, bro. There's no limits to certain things. We're gonna touch base on that. Let's take a quick 5.
Yes, sir.